Hi, welcome to this chess channel for you here. This week I bring you a game between New Zealand versus New Zealand, a Blitz game, 5-minute game on chess.com that was played 2 days ago. So it doesn't really matter when it was played, but it was just played the other day. And here we have two opponents, which is one's myself and another opponent, someone from around the country somewhere, because the New Zealand flag comes up, of course. This game is between two same rated players for 5-minute chess on chess.com. However, my rating is just slightly under my opponent's rating, who my opponent is black. So here we go into this game. So as I say, to play this move for white, it's not bad for white, and I actually didn't play it last week in the South Island Rapid Champs very often, although I did play it on round 1. So here we have the first move, which is 1e3. So there's nothing actually really wrong with this move. In fact, the South Island, new South Island Rapid Chess Champion plays on move 1c3. So there's nothing actually intrinsically, or whatever the word, wrong with 1e3, even though it does look a bit passive. Sometimes people will just forfeit the game because they don't want to play someone that looks really weak. So here's 1e3, okay, and here comes my opponent's response was, I think, d6. Yeah, d6. And so my New Zealand opponent, somewhere around the country, that believes that they play like Tao, so that was a bit scary. Their name had something to do with the name Tao like or something. So I played d4, so I'm trembling because I admire Mikhail Tao a lot. So here I played d4 on move 2, and knight f6 and f4. Now these moves can be played automatically without hardly any thinking, but in 1-minute chess you do have to be careful of pre-moves. Of if you play e3 and d4, you do have to be careful for black's bishop g4 on move 2 after d6 and bishop g4, or d5 and that sort of thing. You do have to be aware of that, because if you play a pre-move of f4 here, then your opponent will take your queen with bishop takes d1 on the bishop on g4. So here's c6. So just knight f3, so, and knight bd7 and c4 this time, not playing c3 here, I'm playing c4 here. Usually I play c3 here, but here I'm playing c4. And g6, so black's obviously fianchettoing their king's bishop, which is, this is a fianchettoing. It sounds like a silhouetting or something like that. This is a fianchetto of the black squared bishop, which in any case, any time that white or black opts to play their bishop to g2 or b2 or g7 or b7, that's called or termed as fianchettoing. It sounds a bit of a, well, it's probably a French word. That's actually a chess position that you can try to work out if you like. It's from a couple of books I've been sent from How to Coach Chess, from a professional chess coach's point of view. And so that position there that I just accidentally have shown you is, you probably haven't seen all of it, is white has to defend in like 3 moves, and white's completely defending and then is able to do things operational again. Anyway, that's all gobbledygook. So here comes knight c3, bishop g7 and bishop d3. We can go to e2 too, but here it's just got a different view instead of it on e2. It's got a different view. Castling, and then we have castling back. Queen e8. That's an inventive move because black's wanting to play e5 and e4 sort of, and forking one of my pieces. So that's what black's intent is. Also, the queen here can maybe get activity, usually on this here, but obviously the pawns are in the way. That's it. So I get really annoyed with that buzzer. I'm going to turn the volume down a wee bit, so, but it still doesn't stop the sound from coming through. So it'd be nice if I can actually cut it out. So here's queen e8. So I just play bishop d2, and here's e5. So I get out of the way because there's a train coming. So I get out of the way of this pawn fork on e4 from black. So I play bishop c2, so that I've actually here got a French defense for white. I'm playing the French defense with my f5 move as white. The next point of play isn't the greatest in the world, but it's e4 and knight g5. So really probably I should just play knight e1, etc. But I felt like playing knight g5. So this has some problems associated with this move to g5, and that the escape square from h6 hit is only on knight h3 unless black is very kind and lets me grab their e-pawn, which obviously I'm threatening that right now. So here comes d5, and I just play cd5, cd5, and now I just play primitively. I play bishop b3, thinking I don't want to lose to New Zealand. I don't want to lose to New Zealand or Australia. I just don't want to lose. I can make a song of that, but I'm not going to sing. So here I'm threatening just knight d5, etc., which will be quite good. So I think black plays knight b6 here. Yeah, I think it is. Knight b6, and I'm sitting there going, well, this knight's going to have to move back here, and it's not going to be very pretty for my pawns. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm playing New Zealand. Oh no, I don't want to lose to New Zealand, especially with white, because they'll probably be able to work out, especially if they watch this video, who I am, and they'll go, oh, ha, I beat Wiegner. So I don't want that to happen, but it happens. We lose chess. And I heard the other day, my friend said that a leading grandmaster or Asian grandmaster or international master was asked, what must I do to be saved? No, asked, that's the question for Christians, but asked, what must I do to be better at chess and to get better results and all that sort of thing? And the answer was quite simple, but also very instructive as well, is play chess and enjoy it. Just play chess and enjoy it. Don't get, like I say all the time, don't get too involved with the points that you're going to get or end up on. It's not the way to play chess, even though some people do play for points and all that sort of stuff, and they're the ones that win. So anyway, here we go. So knight b6 has just been played. So what did I play now? I think I might have played queen e2 or something. Oh, king h1, that's right. a quiet move. Notice there's no clanking and clunking and clinking while I make that move, even though you might hear some music from here and there on this channel, and that's not from my hand. So here is this move that I'm preparing to probably lose my H pawn. So here comes H6 and Knight H3, Bishop H3 of course, and GH3. Now I'm thinking I might lose. I'm actually thinking that I might actually lose. But if I look at this position a little bit deeper than just a couple of moves in or whatever, I have these thoughts of playing F5 in the event of a queen diagonal attacking my H3 pawn. And I could really possibly move it, but I don't think it's going to be very good. And I'm also wanting to maybe play this sort of thing and also other things. So anyway, moving on. So I want to be reasonably instructive, but I also want to not be too long. So it's a bit of a catch-22 for me, because I like talking about the position and that sort of thing and being instructive. So here comes H5. So this gives me opportunity to play the move F5. And so I don't mind even if I lose this pawn on F5, because then I could do what I have learnt from the book, which was a big influence on my play. So if you think that the influence on my play isn't very good, then don't think about this as any good as Hans Bollmester's book, where he goes the F5 break or F4 break, and then you have a position for a knight or a piece or bishop or rook or something like that in your position, sort of thing, if they take. And if we imagine a knight on F4 after the pawn is taken on F5 by black, then this is going to be a little bit of trouble for black's camp. So here we go, Queen D7. Now, as mentioned, there's no real threat here, as far as I'm aware, unless I go Rook G1 now. So I go A4. So I'm playing all over the other side of the board as well. I think that's something I do, which might be quite good, especially in Lightning, is to keep them looking at all parts of the board instead of just having to concentrate on, like in this case, the king side. So here I am threatening to just go A5. So Rook C8, and so I play A5. I might as well, and the pawn's going to be protected by a cloaking bishop on a cloaked defense of the bishop on D2 if the queen takes the pawn eventually, and of course the rook is defending the A5 pawn. So here comes bishop, knight c4 and bishop c4 and rook c4. Now, so probably black's doing really well, but white has some hope. White has hope of this pawn is weak and that sort of thing. So however, my pawn on h3 is quite weak and could be a bit of an issue. Maybe I should just play h4 here or something like that, but I think I played fg6 here. No, I played queen e2. Same thing to prove it in my play is I'm not really too worried about gf5, because then I would have, of course, a whole open file on black's king, and my rooks just feel more ready. It might be just I feel more ready with my rooks here on G3 and G1 respectively. But there's that whistle again. So thank you very much for that word from our sponsor. But here I I have just played queen e2. So if pawn takes here, then I'm not really too worried about that, unless we go down to the endgame situation. And maybe if I asked Fritz to make a move here for black, it might be g5. I'm just going to ask. I always do that. I always seem to do that. But when I'm at the board, I don't seem to do that. It's only when I'm looking at these things. So g5, that's the move I would actually think of playing for black here, because I think that I haven't got the bishop to attack anymore. On the bishop for mine is black squared bishop, and it's it's encased behind this e3 pawn, which is okay. But so that's why I was thinking g5 looks the kind of what I would consider the positional move for black. There goes that buzzer again, that whistle. So here we go. So what do I do next? I now I swing my queen over, so she's gone kind of an envelope attack from queen e2 to g2. Oh no, it's not. Is it? Oh no, it's black's move here. So g5. I'll just check I've got the computer off. So we'll go rook fc8. A fine New Zealand concept. A fine move from New Zealand. So I played queen g2 as promised, but I was a move early. So here comes queen g2. Now obviously that great word of Judge Winder, I'm now threatening fg6. So I'm just threatening this, picking up a pawn. So my opponent, I think, plays king h7, yes. And I now just take this pawn, and I might have, actually, if I was doing it the other way around, I can't do it that way. If I go rook g1, then black will just play queen f5, and then I might look a bit stupid with egg all over my face, including a few dairy cows. So I play fg6 and fg6, and now I just keep it simple. I play rook g1, which is threatening pretty nasty things. I'm not saying that they're winning, but they're quite good in lightning chess. As queen g6. So my opponent now plays queen f7, and now I just think, well, okay, I'm going to play rook here. Now, what am I threatening? Am I threatening anything? Do I have to threaten anything? I am threatening something here. So what is it? It's very simple to find. I'll just have a swig of my Pam's coffee. Good old Pam's coffee. They've fixed their act up, because it had gone bad for a while, but now they've fixed it up somewhat. So I'm just going to take a swig of my coffee, and then we're going to look at the final parts of this game. What's the threat? And it's pretty easy to see. So if it's my move now, I would play this move. Okay, so I'm going to make a mock move for black. Okay, and then I'm going to ask the computer, because I'm going to say to the computer, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to play here. Now I'm going to ask the computer soon to make a move, and I haven't done this before, as I hadn't done g5 either. So you can see the computer's now on. So now I'm going to ask the computer to play knight d5, I hope. There's knight d5. So that's the threat from, even though it's just a small threat, it can be quite damaging for black. Well, I could even play this next move, but we will look at knight d5. No, because of rook f7. We're not looking at that computer. We will look at queen d5, and it wants to do a new variation. I'm not going to. And then we've got queen takes pawn check and queen takes g7 checkmate. So that's no good for black. So that is why I'm trying to show you this is a big threat here. So now I will turn the engine off again. So I'm glad that engine agrees with my move threat knight d5, because knight d5 after knight d5 is terrible, because rook f7 takes the queen on f7 for just a knight, and black has to give up a queen and a pawn for getting my stallion on c3. So knight d5. Okay, sorry, I was just doing the analysis there. So now we have the main line. Sorry, I was saying, what? That's no good. So what do I do now? And I assume we'll close this session, and I hope you've enjoyed it. So what do I do now? I play, of course, the horse, of course, is knight d5. So now it's even worse. Now white is in what I would believe one position. The computer would certainly see that, but I don't want to venture down there because there might be variations for white and black that black might be able to defend somewhat. So here's rook c6. Now it's getting quite sad now. I could just, after rook 8 c6, play knight f6, rook f6, rook f6, queen f6, queen e4, and I'm still then I'm threatening queen takes pawn on b7, and that's the thing, and other. So here's back to knight c3, going backwards, not exactly what I was telling my junior before to do. Maybe I just want to keep it safe on one. So I've got a run, and now I just want to go retract back and keep the defenses as well as the attack going. And as you would appreciate, I'm actually looking at this pawn now, which will be quite damaging to black again, because the knight can enter in and scoop up this e4 pawn, which will be very handy for the endgame process. So here's queen e8, which does defend that. And here I believe I played rook f2, sorry, rook f2. I thought it was d5, but it's not, it's rook f2, just keeping it tight. And so that obviously threatens maybe here, without saying it's an absolute certainty. And black has to, of course, move. So I think they played rook e6. No, you get it wrong. Knight d7, and this is easy for me to find a move here. I just play rook gf1, and this is now threatening, amongst other things, rook f7 check. So here's rook e6, and here's d5. Still the same. Rook f7 check. And what would black really do here? How can black go any further? I'd say the computer will find what's better. Here's king h8 and d5 this time. At last, d5. Now this makes the rook decide whether or not it's going to defend this g pawn, very important to black, or by staying on the third rank, or moving elsewhere. So here's Rookie 5, and this is the end of the session, and this is where my opponent actually resigned from New Zealand somewhere around the country as Queen G6, and my opponent resigned. And so that's keeping it under a half an hour for this week's session on YouTube. Here for you, a selected game from one of my opponents of New Zealand. Thank you very much.